Let me ask you something. How many diets have you tried? How many times have you cut carbs, skipped dessert, bought a gym membership in January, cooked sad boiled chicken for 3 weeks straight, and still nothing? Or maybe you lose a little weight, feel great for a minute, and then life happens. You eat one slice of birthday cake, and somehow the whole thing unravels overnight. Sound familiar? Of course it does. Here's what nobody tells you. It's not a willpower problem. It's not a laziness problem. And it's definitely not because you're broken. The real reason most diets fail is because they work against your biology instead of working with it. Think about this. Most conventional diets ask you to count every single calorie, obsess over macro percentages, eat 6 tiny meals a day, and then somehow sustain that level of mental gymnastics for the rest of your life. No wonder people give up. It's exhausting. And on top of all that effort, the science is telling us that constantly snacking and eating all day long actually keeps your insulin levels perpetually elevated, which literally signals your body to store fat, not burn it. You're working hard, you're sacrificing, and your body is working against you the entire time. That's the cruel irony most diet culture won't tell you.
But what if there was a way to flip that switch? What if instead of fighting your biology, you could trigger your body's own built-in fat-burning system without obsessing over every meal, without eating food that tastes like cardboard, and without spending hours at the gym? That's exactly what intermittent fasting does. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through everything: the what, the why, the science, the different methods, the foods that make it work, the foods that destroy your progress, and the side effects you need to know about so they don't catch you off guard. This isn't a hype video. This is the full picture, backed by real science, so you can make an informed decision and actually get results. Let's get into it.
Let's start at the very beginning, because I want to make sure we're all on the same page. And also because there's a lot of misinformation floating around about this topic. Intermittent fasting, or IF, is not a diet. I'll say that again. It is not a diet. It doesn't tell you what to eat. It tells you when to eat. Think of it as a structured eating pattern that alternates between periods of eating and periods of fasting. That is, going without food, or at minimum, without calorie-containing food. You're essentially cycling between a fed state and a fasted state. Let's use something relatable. Okay. Here's a simple way to think about it. Imagine your body is like a hybrid car. When you eat, it runs on glucose, sugar from food. That's the petrol engine. But when you run out of glucose, when you've gone long enough without eating, your body switches to its reserve fuel system, stored body fat. That's the electric engine kicking in. Intermittent fasting is basically the strategy that forces your body to switch to that fat-burning reserve engine more often. Now, here's something that might surprise you. Humans have been doing this for basically all of human history. For most of our evolutionary past, food wasn't available 24/7. Our ancestors didn't have refrigerators, corner shops, or 2-for-1 deals at fast food restaurants. They ate when food was available, and they fasted when it wasn't. Our bodies are designed for fasting. It's not extreme. It's actually more natural than what most of us do today, which is eat from the moment we wake up until the moment we go to bed.
Intermittent fasting changes that equation. Now, and this is important, intermittent fasting is not the same as starving yourself. Starvation is involuntary, prolonged, and dangerous. Intermittent fasting is a deliberate, structured, time-limited practice. When done correctly, it doesn't cause muscle loss, it doesn't wreck your metabolism, and it doesn't leave you nutritionally deficient, because you are still eating. You're just eating in a more intentional window. Think of it like sleep. You fast every single night when you're asleep. The word breakfast literally means breaking the fast. Intermittent fasting just extends that fasting window a bit further into the day. That's it at its core. Simple.
natural, and as we're about to see, incredibly powerful from a scientific standpoint. I'm going to break this down into 3 key mechanisms. 4 things that happen in your body when you fast that collectively explain why it works. 1. Insulin drops and fat burning begins. When you eat, especially carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises, and your pancreas releases a hormone called insulin. Insulin's job is to usher that glucose from your blood into your cells for energy. So far, so good. But here's the problem. Insulin is also a fat storage hormone. When insulin is elevated, which happens every time you eat, your body cannot access stored body fat for energy. It's literally locked away. The key to the fat storage lock is high insulin. As long as insulin is elevated, fat burning is essentially switched off. When you fast, your insulin levels drop dramatically. And once insulin falls low enough, your body gets the signal. There's no more incoming food energy. Start burning stored fat. The fat cells release fatty acids into the bloodstream, and your body starts burning them for fuel. In simple terms, no food in, insulin drops, fat burning turns on. That's the primary engine of IF. 2. Human growth hormone surges. Human growth hormone, or HGH, is one of the most powerful fat-burning, muscle-preserving hormones in your body. And during fasting, levels of HGH can increase significantly. Some studies showing increases of up to 5x normal levels during extended fasting periods. What does that mean practically? 2 things. First, HGH accelerates the breakdown of fat tissue and directs your body to use that fat for energy. Second,
it protects lean muscle mass. This is why the fear that fasting will cause you to lose muscle is largely unfounded when fasting is done correctly. The HGH surge helps preserve muscle while you're burning fat. This is one of the key reasons intermittent fasting tends to produce better body composition results than simple calorie restriction, because calorie restriction alone can cause you to lose both fat and muscle, while IF's hormonal effects help protect muscle tissue. 3. Metabolic switching, the most important concept you've never heard of. Here's a concept I want you to really lock in: metabolic switching. Most people's bodies live in one metabolic mode all day, every day: glucose-burning mode. Their breakfast raises blood sugar. Their mid-morning snack raises it again. Lunch, afternoon coffee with sugar. Dinner, evening snack. Blood sugar is on a constant roller coaster. Insulin is constantly elevated, and the body never even comes close to switching into fat-burning mode. The metabolic switch refers to the moment when your body's primary fuel source transitions from glucose to fat-derived ketones. This happens after your liver's glycogen stores are depleted, typically somewhere between 12 and 18 hours of fasting, depending on the individual and their activity level. In other words, intermittent fasting isn't just a weight loss tool. It's a whole-body metabolic upgrade.
All right, so now you know what intermittent fasting is and why it works at a biological level. Let's talk about how it actually works in practice, because intermittent fasting isn't one single thing. There are multiple methods, and each one suits different lifestyles, goals, and personalities. I'm going to walk you through the 5 main methods, explain the science behind each one, and help you figure out which one might be the right starting point for you. 1. The 16-8 method, the most popular starting point. This is the most widely practiced form of intermittent fasting, and for good reason. It's the most accessible. The name says it all. You fast for 16 hours and eat within an 8-hour window. In practice, most people skip breakfast and eat between noon and 8 p.m., or they stop eating after dinner at 7 p.m. and don't eat again until 11 a.m. the next day. Either way, 16 hours of fasting, 8 hours of eating. Now, and this is important, roughly 7 to 8 hours of that 16-hour fast is while you're sleeping, so you're really only extending your fast by about 8 hours beyond your sleep. Most people find this surprisingly manageable,
especially once they get past the first 2 weeks.
2. The 5-2 method. Eat normal, fast twice. This method is slightly different in approach. Instead of restricting your eating window daily, you eat normally 5 days a week, and on 2 non-consecutive days, you significantly reduce your calories, typically to 500 to 600 calories on those fasting days. So on Monday and Thursday, for example, you eat 1 small meal of around 500 calories. Every other day, you eat normally. The appeal here is flexibility. You don't have to change your daily eating routine most of the time. 2 days of intentional restriction per week. Research suggests this can be highly effective, especially for people who can handle periodic intense restriction but struggle with daily windows. 3. Alternate day fasting, ADF. As the name suggests, you alternate between normal eating days and fasting days. On fasting days, you either eat nothing at all or limit yourself to around 25% of your normal daily calories. Studies comparing ADF to the 16-8 method found that ADF was actually more effective for short-term fat reduction, mainly because it creates a larger energy deficit overall. However, ADF is also harder to maintain long-term, and adherence tends to drop off. This method is best approached once you've already built the fasting habit with a gentler method and you want to accelerate your results over a defined period. 4. The 18-6 or 24 method, advanced time restriction. These are extended versions of the 16-8, where you narrow your eating window further. With 18-6, you have a 6-hour eating window. With 24, sometimes called the warrior diet, you have only a 4-hour eating window, typically in the evening, and eat 1 or 2 large meals. The benefit of a shorter eating window is greater fat burning and more pronounced autophagy activation. However, the challenge is that fitting all your nutritional needs into 4 to 6 hours requires more intentional food planning. Missing your protein or micronutrient targets becomes a real risk. 5. The 24-hour or OMAD fast, 1 meal a day. OMAD, 1 meal a day, is exactly what it sounds like. 1 meal per day, typically eaten within a 1-hour window. Some people do a full 24-hour fast once or twice a week rather than every day. The metabolic benefits here are significant. You're giving your body an extended period to burn fat, deeply activate autophagy, and keep insulin low for a prolonged window. People who practice OMAD consistently often report sharp improvements in mental clarity, energy, and body composition. But let's be honest, eating once a day is genuinely difficult for most people, especially socially. It requires getting very large amounts of nutrition into a single meal, and it's not suitable for everyone, including pregnant women, those with certain medical conditions, or those with a history of disordered eating. So which method should you start with? For the vast majority of people watching this, the answer is 16-8. It's the most researched, the most sustainable, and the easiest entry point. Get comfortable with it for 4 to 6 weeks before even thinking about advancing to a more aggressive protocol. The best fasting method is the one you'll actually do consistently. Sustainability always beats intensity. Real quick, if you're finding this video helpful, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps this video reach more people who need this information. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe and ring the bell, because I drop science-backed health and nutrition content every single week. And drop a comment right now. Which fasting method are you going to try first? 16-8, 5-2, or OMAD? I read every single comment. All right, now let's get into the most important practical section of this video. What you should actually be eating during your eating window. Here's the truth. Intermittent fasting will get you results, even if your diet isn't perfect. The timing element alone creates metabolic changes that support fat burning. But, and this is a big but, the quality of what you eat in your eating window will determine whether you get good results or great results. It will also determine how you feel during the fast, how long your hunger lasts, and whether you sustain this long term. So let's talk about the 5 categories of food that work beautifully with intermittent fasting.
1. Lean proteins, the non-negotiable foundation. If there is one thing you must prioritize in your eating window, it's protein. And I mean this without any qualification. Here's why. When you fast, your body is in a catabolic state. It's breaking things down. Without adequate protein intake, there's a risk that some of that breakdown comes from muscle tissue. Protein prevents this. It provides the amino acids your muscles need to maintain and rebuild, while also being the most satiating macronutrient, meaning it keeps you full for longer, which makes your fast dramatically easier. Protein also has the highest thermic effect of any macronutrient. Your body burns more calories digesting protein than it does digesting fats or carbohydrates, so you're essentially getting a metabolic bonus every time you eat it.
2. Non-starchy vegetables, volume, fiber, and micronutrients. One of the underrated challenges of intermittent fasting is getting enough micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals in a shorter eating window. Non-starchy vegetables solve this problem beautifully. They're nutrient-dense, incredibly low in calories, high in fiber, and they add massive volume to your meals so you feel full. Fiber is particularly important for IF success. It slows digestion, stabilizes blood sugar, feeds the beneficial bacteria in your gut, and helps you feel satiated long after your meal is over. A meal high in fiber means a much more comfortable fast in the hours that follow. Broccoli top vegetable choices for IF: leafy greens, spinach, kale, arugula, romaine. Cruciferous vegetables: broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, zucchini, cucumber, tomatoes, bell peppers. Avocado, technically a fruit, but high in healthy fats and fiber. Pro tip: start your first meal after breaking your fast with vegetables before anything heavy. It eases digestion and prevents blood sugar spikes.
3. Whole grains and complex carbohydrates. Sustained energy, not spikes. Carbohydrates have been unfairly demonized in recent years, but here's the nuanced truth. The type of carbohydrate matters enormously. Complex carbohydrates from whole food sources digest slowly, provide sustained energy throughout your fasting period, and support stable blood sugar levels. The difference between eating white bread and eating brown rice before a fast is the difference between feeling ravenous at hour 3 and feeling comfortable at hour 6. Slow digesting carbs are your ally. 1. Best complex carb choices. 1. Oats, especially rolled or steel cut, high fiber, slow digesting. 2. Brown rice or quinoa, complete protein plus complex carbs in quinoa. 3. Sweet potato, nutrient dense, high in potassium, slower than white potato. 4. Wheat bread or pasta, better fiber than refined alternatives. 5. Beans and lentils, carb plus protein plus fiber, triple threat. 4. Healthy fats, the satiety secret weapon. Dietary fat has been misunderstood for decades. Fat does not make you fat. Excess calories do. And healthy fats are one of your most powerful tools during intermittent fasting for one simple reason. They are extraordinarily satiating, and they do not spike insulin. Eating a meal rich in healthy fats means you feel genuinely, deeply satisfied for hours. This makes the fasting window feel much more comfortable. Additionally, omega-3 fatty acids from sources like oily fish and walnuts have potent anti-inflammatory effects that synergize with the anti-inflammatory benefits of fasting itself.
5. Water, herbal teas, and black coffee, your fasting window essentials. Technically, these aren't foods, but they are the most important things you'll consume during your fasting window, and they make or break your experience. During your fast, you can and absolutely should drink water, black coffee, and herbal teas. None of these break your fast in any meaningful metabolic sense because they contain no calories and don't trigger an insulin response. And they serve several critical functions. Water. Hydration is non-negotiable. Dehydration is the most common cause of headaches, fatigue, and irritability during fasting. Aim for at least 2 to 2.5 liters per day. You can add electrolytes,
sodium, potassium, magnesium if you're exercising or doing extended fasts, as these are lost through urine during fasting. Black coffee. Caffeine is a natural appetite suppressant and metabolic stimulant. It increases fat oxidation, improves focus, and makes the fasting window dramatically more tolerable for most people. Just keep it black. Adding milk, cream, or sugar breaks the fast and spikes insulin. Green tea and herbal teas. Green tea contains compounds that support fat oxidation. Herbal teas like peppermint, ginger, and chamomile can ease hunger sensations, support digestion, and help with any initial irritability during the adjustment period.
Now, let's talk about the foods that will actively sabotage your results. And I want to be clear, this isn't about being good or bad. It's about understanding what these foods actually do inside your body and why they work directly against everything intermittent fasting is trying to achieve. 1. Refined sugar and ultra-processed sweets. This is the #1 enemy of intermittent fasting, and honestly, the #1 enemy of metabolic health in general. Refined sugar, found in sweets, chocolate bars, fizzy drinks, pastries, and most packaged snack foods, causes a massive, rapid spike in blood sugar. What follows is an equally dramatic surge of insulin. Remember, insulin is the fat storage signal. The moment you eat a sugary snack, your body flips from fat burning mode back into fat storage mode. And because sugary foods are digested rapidly, blood sugar crashes shortly after, leaving you hungrier than you were before. You've just undone hours of fasting for a food that leaves you feeling worse in 30 minutes. 2. Refined or ultra-processed carbohydrates. This is the category most people miss because these foods don't taste sweet, but behave almost identically to sugar once they're inside your body. White bread, white rice, white pasta, crackers, and most packaged breads have had their fiber and nutrients stripped away during processing. What's left is essentially fast-digesting starch that your body converts to glucose almost instantly. The result? A rapid insulin spike, a quick energy crash, intense hunger returning far sooner than it should, and a body that quickly returns to fat storage mode. These foods make your fasting window miserable and your eating window counterproductive. 3. Alcohol. Alcohol is often the elephant in the room in nutrition conversations. People don't want to give it up, so they hope it won't affect their results. I'm going to give you the honest truth. First, alcohol stops fat burning cold. The moment your liver detects alcohol, it prioritizes metabolizing it above everything else, including fat burning. Your fat oxidation essentially pauses until the alcohol is cleared. Second, alcohol is calorie-dense, 7 calories per gram, spikes insulin, disrupts sleep quality, elevates cortisol the next morning, and dramatically increases appetite and cravings, making your next day's fast exponentially harder. Beer and cocktails are particularly destructive because they combine alcohol with sugar. Even wine, while lower in sugar, carries all the metabolic consequences of alcohol. If you drink occasionally on social occasions, aim to keep it to 1 to 2 drinks maximum. Choose lower sugar options like dry wine or spirits, and don't drink on a night before a plain fasting day. Alcohol is the single fastest way to stall your IF progress. 4. Inflammatory seed oils and deep-fried foods. This one is less discussed but critically important. Vegetable and seed oils like sunflower oil, soybean oil, corn oil, and palm oil are extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids, which in excess promote chronic inflammation. Deep-fried foods, fast food, most packaged snacks and crisps, and commercial salad dressings are often loaded with these oils. Remember, one of the major benefits of intermittent fasting is its anti-inflammatory effect. Eating a diet rich in inflammatory oils essentially counteracts one of fasting's most powerful health benefits. It's like running with the handbrake on. Additionally, the high calorie density of fried foods means it's very easy to consume an enormous number of calories in a small eating window, erasing any caloric benefit from your fast.
Let's bring everything together. You started this video frustrated. Maybe you've tried diets before that didn't stick, or you've been confused by all the conflicting information out there. I get it. But now you have something more powerful than a fad diet. You have the actual science, the practical methods, and the real-world knowledge to make intermittent fasting work for you. Here's the honest truth. Intermittent fasting is not magic. It doesn't override the laws of biology. You still need to eat real food, move your body, sleep well, and manage your stress. But what it is, backed by decades of research, is one of the most effective, practical, and sustainable frameworks for improving your metabolic health, losing body fat, and genuinely feeling better in your own body. The entry barrier is low. You don't need to buy anything. You don't need a special meal plan or fancy supplements. You just need to decide on a window, stick with it, eat real food, and give your body the time it needs to adapt. And here's what I want you to do right now. Pick one method. I recommend starting with 16 to 8 and commit to trying it for 21 days. Not 2 days, not a week, 21 days. That's enough time to get through the adjustment phase and start actually feeling the benefits. Keep a simple journal. Note your hunger levels, your energy, your sleep. You'll see the shift. The people who succeed with intermittent fasting aren't the ones who try the hardest method on day one. They're the ones who start simple, stay consistent, and build gradually. That's you. You've got the knowledge now. What you do with it is entirely up to you. If this video helped you, do 3 things for me right now. Smash the like button. It helps this reach more people who need it. Subscribe and hit the bell. I post weekly science-backed health content. Drop a comment. What's the one thing you're going to change this week? Your comment might be exactly the motivation someone else in this community needs. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself. You're worth it.